And now for part two of our riveting interview with Danielle Edwards. This is Millennial Reasonings Special Edition.
So getting to Europe was not something that I had wanted to do necessarily. It wasn't something that I had set out to do. How I ended up there, really and truly, because I was expecting after UA to just graduate and go and get a job. And why I was expecting to graduate to is because it's something, the graduation ceremony is such a beautiful moment. Your friends are there, and then later on, I learned that graduation was going to be on my birthday too. And so you just know that yes, you're just gonna graduate and get a job, get a work, and get a job, and start contributing and start earning. But then where I lived in my final year of university, my landlord was a French lecturer.
Oh,
And she said, hey, you did French in high school. I had done French for a semester at UA, but Dura, I don't know if you can attest to this. Yeah, probably you are more responsible student than I was. Where to get up for 8 a.m. class, did you wake up for your 8 a.m. classes?
I no comment.
Well, I don't have a problem with commenting. I could not make it for most of them, and a lot of my foreign language classes were at 8 a.m. in the morning. And so I was missing a lot of my foreign language classes in my very first semester. Again, did not end up doing that great in my first semester of UA at all. I think that's important to say. I performed terribly by my standards during my first semester at UA because it took a lot to adjust. I don't know if I experienced it. I'm the only university student
No,
that experienced it.
no, that's
I have no
universal.
supervision. I had no supervision whatsoever. And you're living in a space where you come home to your friends,
Yes.
you know, we lived on hall together. You come home and we're all communing until 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, 12. You don't, I didn't go to my bed until 4 o'clock in the morning. How must I get to class?
Wow.
I'm trekking I'm trekking across my hall to my room at 6 a.m. in the morning, having line and then up and speaking, and you know it is. And then I was an art, I was into the art. And so I was always with other persons who were like mine in the art. So we would be up singing until 6 o'clock in the morning. It didn't work out wonderful for roommates. So if any of them see this, we apologize in advance. But we apologize, but we're always singing and we were always making noise, and I was always in rehearsal, in one rehearsal or the next. I was in a rehearsal,
Okay.
you know. And so being in a rehearsal, rehearsal space until late can be people that did not want to leave. And so yes, so I I remember I was out there, but I remember, in my final year, I lived out hall and, I was informed about the program and I told my parents, remember they always wanted to go abroad, and they said, sure, apply, apply, do it, apply. And I said, oh Lord, but it's in France. I only did really well at French in high school. That's
Okay.
where I really excelled at French. The French poetry competitions. I was winning when the Alliance Française, did competitions. I entered, I won. I used to sing in French. I used to do all of that. And it's only you, as I tell you, it was just bare vibes. I did not make my 8 a.m. lab classes. You have labs to listen and listening and all of that. I did not make majority of my classes. Anyway, I said I was going to give it a go. So one thing that I was good at or that I could do was memorize stuff. I
Okay.
could memorize stuff. That once I heard it, I could memorize it. And so I remember applying for this program, Sheroy, and I got in. I applied and they said, you're selected for the interview. I said, what? What? I said, what? You sure? And I'm like, okay. Now I had a friend who, you know him too, because we all lived on hall together. My friend and I sat and we came up with 30 questions that they could possibly ask
Are
me in
you
that interview.
serious?
I am so serious. And I memorized every single one of them. The Mercury, it was not difficult because I had already known the rules of the game. Yes, I did French in high school up until fifth form, up until grade 11 for North Americans. So I had a decent understanding of rules and that kind of thing for the language. So it's not that I was just trying to memorize a completely, new language. So when he says, we came up with questions and possible questions that they could ask me, because while I had knowledge of it, I don't think I would be that quick on my feet to be able to answer certain questions.
Okay.
And of the 30 questions, probably 3K, you know, and I recited it word for word. Yes,
Wow.
thankfully, yes, thankfully, yep, yeah. Once I don't know if I have that ability, no, but if I hear something, if I read something, and I just recite it, I can get it. Thankfully, after 5 minutes in French, the rest of the interview was in English, and it was a really good time. I had also interviewed to go on the JET program. That's the one for Japan,
Right.
but I didn't get that one, but I got the French one. And I remember being in the library, Deroy, and opening my email, and I see the name of the the is it we don't want to say Charge d'Affaires. I don't want to call her that, but she was the person in charge of coordinating the French program, and I saw an email from her,
Right.
and I see the big congratulations.
Congratulations.
You've
Right.
been, I'm a new library now, and I squeak. You know how silent
Yes, it is.
upstairs
The
is,
library is
and
supposed to be.
everybody just looks, and everybody looked at me like, "What is wrong with this girl?" And I had to muffle my scream and go out and call my family immediately and be like, "I am
But
in
yes.
Leroy. I had no lifelong dream or passion to do this. It was just something that I said I'm gonna try and do, and I did it. And that's really how my life has happened since then. But I'm gonna tell you more about that,
Yeah.
But I went, I was able to go, and but the issue is going is that the French, I needed to have it to go, not just for the interview, which was another drama. It was
Right.
another drama, there because I don't think you have time to talk about the dramas that I experienced just going to France. Yes,
Okay.
just going to France. First of all, I am me, so I do the weirdest things. I said to myself, self, and myself said, yes, pack all your English storybooks for these children because what the program, I went to France to teach
Right.
English,
Right.
right? And so that was called an assistantship program. And so I said, my students will enjoy these books. There are, I kid you not, I packed 2 suitcases just filled with books. I
Books.
told them there are, I don't know, yes.
Okay.
It makes no sense, but I did that in my mind. It was brilliant.
Well,
Let me continue. It
let's
was
pause a little.
brilliant to do.
So, it's important to note, that, and these are good, I suppose, lessons, or just good
Hmm.
takeaways. The fact that sometimes the start isn't so good, and you talked about the start at UE and just being on your
Hmm.
own and not having any supervision and just
Hmm.
enjoying yourself, lining with your
Yes,
friends, going to bed at 4
too
a.m., not
much.
going to class. But when you realize that that happened, that you didn't do so well in the first semester, you bounced.
Hmm. Oh yeah, man. Oh yes, I ended up on the dean's list actually my final semester.
So
Yeah, man. I ended up on the dean's list.
yes.
I was performing. I got all A's because most. I'm a perfectionist by nature,
Mhm.
and I am a perfectionist by nature. If you're a firstborn, then responsibility weighs heavily on you. And I think for the first time, I didn't have that feel of responsibility for that first semester, and so I just completely let go. After that, I was like, yeah, I need to get my act together. I need to get my life together. And so I ended up on the dean's list because you realize how much your parents pay for you to go to school. It's not a
Right,
joke.
right, right.
Not your education is not a toy. It's not a joke. And so I ended up on the dean's list, ended up getting A's. While I was at U, it ended up working. I performed so well in certain courses that when I came back from France, which we may get into, I ended up tutoring one of the research methodologist courses
Wow.
there because I literally got I got my act together. But
Well,
yeah, I ended up on the news list and stuff like that. But yeah, I got it together after a
but
while.
but but that's excellent. So sometimes, and
Yeah.
think I had a similar experience. My first semester didn't go so well. It didn't go too terribly, but it didn't go too well.
Went
And
bad.
then I think it happens for a lot of people, just the adjustment
Mm-hmm.
to be on your
Yes.
own. And then the other takeaway I think is taking risks. You say you didn't get to your French labs in the morning, but then you said, why not? What is what would I lose from sending in this application and trying out for
Mm-hmm.
this program? And then
Yes.
when you sent it in and you got an invite, you came up with a plan. You were not
Exactly.
just going to turn up at the interview, you came up with a plan and you
Mm-hmm.
worked with your friend. We know him. He's very good at
Mm-hmm.
languages, and the two of you worked with a plan, and
Mm-hmm.
you got through. And
Yes.
so the takeaways is sometimes take risks, and the
Mm-hmm.
risks pay off.
But living in France was rough. It was tough. And in Jamaica, you can be late for work, right? In late is late, like 8 a.m. If you arrive 8 a.m., you are late.
Okay.
There's a kind of discipline that you have to employ.
Mhm.
So for me, it was rough because it was cold. I've never experienced winter before. My
Okay.
fingers were bloodshot, frostbite. I just cried. I remember crying a lot. It was tough. I was, isolated. I was alone a lot of the time because of where I lived. I had to
Right.
climb over the school gate one time if they're listening. Well, they can't. But I had to climb over the gate one time because when the teacher dropped me off. So let me tell you quickly. I reach it. I arrive in France. There's nowhere to stay but to leave me on the school compound. Nobody's on the school compound but me, myself, and IMG was at the
Really?
Angels,
Mm.
right? Because they had these dorms there, and me, myself, the Angels that day. And then when I got to plug in my computer now to get a little comfort, the plugs are different. Nobody told me to get an adapter.
Oh
You know who
wow.
cried? You
You
know
cried
who
again.
cried? You know who cried again, right? Not only that, because it's dark there is no TV, you're in a strange country. I can't tell my family I'm here. I can't communicate to them and say I'm safe. I can't say anything to them. You know, for the first week, my stomach was in upheaval because I wasn't eating the food that I was eating, that I was accustomed to, all of
Right.
that. It
Just the
was very
adjustment.
different.
Yes.
It was just the adjustment, and it was cold and it was lonely, but I eventually got over it. I remember being there one weekend. The teacher did not tell me that I needed a card to open the gate. Remember, it's me alone there. The following weekend, I head out to get food. This time I'm a little more acquainted with the town. I head out to get food on my own. Come back there, the gate is not pulling. Because when he dropped me off, it was a Sunday night. This is now my first Friday night on
Right.
premises alone.
Yes.
I go to pull the gate not pulling. I said, I'm going to throw myself down on the ground and cry again, or try to think of a way to get through this. You know that I had to put down my bag and climb over the people's school gate. Climb. And I've never climbed a tree in Jamaica. In
Okay.
Jamaica, you climb I had to climb the people's high gate
Right.
with, imagine a school gate. Yes,
Yes. Yes. It's
imagine a
pretty.
school gate. It's not
Yeah.
easy to climb. Can't tell you how tall it was. It was probably about, is it safe to say 12 feet? It was about 15 feet high.
Are
And I
you
had to
serious?
climb over, it was about 10, 12 feet high. And there, let me tell you, I said, all right. I took my coat, flung my coat over the wall, threw things over the wall, step up. And I don't even know how I held on. And I climbed and I climbed. I expected police any minute now. because they'd be calling them to tell somebody that, listen, I
They're
see
trying to break
somebody
into the
trying to
school.
invade, trying to break in. But France for me was a learning experience, I think, because it taught me to be resourceful.
Mm,
It also taught me that was my first opportunity to just go after something. I just went out. I did a lot of my success in high school or achievements were things that I had set my eyes on. You know,
mm,
some things I had just done on or just did it on a weekend or just did it on a whim. But this to me showed that I really have a chance at doing something. So some of it wasn't that great, particularly where racism was concerned, because your blackness doesn't become much apparent because in Jamaica we say, oh, some one people, you're black, but over there you are conscious, you're hyper conscious of your
yes,
blackness
yes.
when you're there. I was followed around in supermarkets, I was followed around in pharmacies, and a teacher said it's because I look like a South African, you know.
Mm,
I remember when a friend and I tried to get into a club and they said, we were underdressed. So I was in boots, and I stopped, and he was in sneakers and a hoodie, and he said, "Oh, probably it's me." So he told his roommate. His roommate laughed, and his roommate said, "I know blacks and Arabs are not allowed
blacks and
in that
Arabs
particular.
are not
Blacks
allowed
and
in
Arabs are not allowed.
that club.
Blacks and Arabs are not allowed in
Let's
that club."
let's just explore that a little because
Mm-hmm.
as I'm interested in history and the
Mm-hmm.
experience of blacks and people of African descent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
many times the French like to give the illusion of liberty and liberation, and that they're one of the most liberal countries in the world, and the first to do this and the first to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
as you've experienced personally, there is
Mm-hmm.
racism there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of immigrants and migrants. I've heard stories they've experienced
Mm-hmm.
racism,
Yeah.
later racism, and you have come and confirmed it as well. And this is
Mm-hmm.
what
This is
2011,
2011,
so early
2011, 2012.
2010s.
I was
Yeah,
in the 2012 because I had been in France by this time a few months, because I'm not really telling the story in any chronological order.
no, that's fine.
So I was in France a few months, I went to look for a friend because, the Jamaican contingent that I went in, we were pretty close knit, and so they were in all over France, but we all got together when we could. Most of us got together when we could. So I went to stay with a friend because that's what you do. You go and you look for friends to explore other parts of France. And I remember we were told by the roommate that we were not able to access the club because we were black. Blacks and Arabs can't get in. And the friend laughed, but the friend was being offensive. He was like, oh no, like everybody knows you can't go to that one, right?
Wow.
Okay. So he said, don't worry, I'll come with you tomorrow and we can go to another one. When we went to the other one, this time they weren't as kind with their wording, and I don't know if kind is an appropriate word. They were very blatant. You are not allowed inside.
Wow.
And they
Are
didn't tell us
are you
why.
serious?
And yeah, I'm serious, very, very serious. And when my friend's roommate, who was Caucasian, you know, um, Anglo-Saxon, when they said, you can't, when he said to them why, he was speaking to them in French. By this time, thankfully, I had gotten a grasp of the French language, and so I could understand all of
Right,
what he was
right.
saying. So he was quarreling with them in French, and they literally put their hands on us and pushed us off of the property, and kept pushing us off of the property. Yeah, yeah,
I'm I'm
and
I'm blown away, and this this
yeah,
is
trust me.
2010s. You're talking
Yes,
about
yeah,
that. That's we're not. Yeah.
uh-huh. This is 2011, 2012, thereabout. And, I remember even being, when I was teaching, um, hearing students snicker certain remarks. There were African students that went to the school, but hearing them snicker certain remarks or seeing them, well, I don't know if this was racially charged, but it's never happened to any assistants I hear at the school where they try to smoke the classroom out. So, I have my own,
Hmm.
beliefs where that is concerned, but, try to smoke the classroom out. But all in all, it was an eye-opening experience. It opened my eyes to the world. I think it did. It opened my eyes to the possibilities. And once you get a taste of traveling, whether it's good or bad, really and truly, you're gonna want more of it.
Yeah.
You're really gonna want more of it. So yes, those negative experiences happened, but you move on. You don't allow it to define you. You move on. It was my first time there. And when you're experiencing that kind of racism and that kind of consciousness, you feel kind of small. You know what I mean? You feel
Mm.
kind of small because you're not empowered. No, Daniel, 2022 would not, but back then, you're 21, you're young, and you feel some type of way. And I remember calling my friends and be like, you guys won't believe what happened, you know. But all in all, France was a great experience. Generally, it was really, really good. There's good and bad. And I think the most important thing that France taught me was the possibilities are endless, that you can go and be anything and do anything. Here I was teaching English to students when I had just the other day tried to memorize 30 questions, memorize it word for word. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And it was a breathtaking experience. What I will say though that it taught me was to savor. Hmm, it's a lesson that I'm learning. I think to savor every moment, even if it's not comfortable for you, unless it's really, really horrendous and your life is in danger. A lot of us Jamaicans, we wanted to go home. It was cold, Roy. It was. You weren't welcomed in certain places. You were being followed around. In every pharmacy I went in, I was followed around.
Right.
I remember going to a makeup store and the makeup assistant point blank telling me we're not going to try makeup because we don't have anything for your skin.
So I'm wondering, is it because of where you were? Was it rural France, or is it, or did you
Yes,
experience these things in
where I was,
metropolitan
it wasn't
areas?
right. So where I was, so say
Yeah.
for example, I was in a town. So for example, my friend who was in Toulouse had better luck.
Okay.
Because Toulouse it's kind of like the. Have you ever? Okay, Sydney in Australia and Canberra are perfect examples of it, right?
Okay.
Sydney is where everybody knows. Sydney is like international central of Australia,
Yes.
but Canberra is the capital. Am I correct? Am I correct? Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think
Canberra is the
Canberra
capital of
is
us. So it's the same thing with Toulouse in France. While Paris is the capital, I think Toulouse is really the where a lot of the students go to study. You know, Toulouse is where a lot of the international students. Some go to Paris, but really and truly, you find a lot of international students in Toulouse. And so when you land there, you see people of every shape, of every color, of every
right. Yeah.
size, of every. You hear English all around more than you hear in Paris. You
Mm.
hear more English in Toulouse more than you hear in Paris. And so when I went there, you felt at home. So she never had that problem
Ah.
at all. But I had that problem. Well, where I was, so my friend was in a town called Orleans. That's not as central. And I was in a town, as I said, Chalon. So they didn't have their own exposure to persons who were black, were, persons from Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire. That's
Yeah.
how you
Cote
say it?
d'Ivoire. Yeah.
Or
Hmm.
Ivory Coast, right? So
Right.
Ivory Coast, that's where a lot of the Africans were from the Ivory Coast that landed in that town because I think you had different persons, because they speak French. So
Yes. Yes.
that was
The
their
French
exposure and
colonized that those
right,
parts of
French,
Africa.
right.
Yeah.
So you
Ah.
didn't have a lot of persons who were, you didn't have a lot of people of color where I was. It was very flavorless where I was. It was very
That's
flavorless.
that's that,
Very
that's a polite
flavorless.
way to put it. Okay. I like
Yeah,
that description.
very flavorless. But I think what it taught me though, the entire year I was there was when I landed in Jamaica there, I remember coming home and being so happy to be home. And within a month, all of us, the contingent, the French contingent, we all message each other and we're like, yeah, we want to go back now. So if you can, traveling can be expensive,
Hmm.
but I always say if you have the means and you have the resources, don't second guess it. If you
Yeah.
have the means and you have the resources, because some people don't have the means and the
Yeah.
resources to travel, and that's fine. But if you have the means and you have the resources and you're second guessing because, oh, you're in a relationship and you don't want to ruin that, girl, get your life. Tell the guy you soon come back and go a year and travel. Tell the girl you soon be back and go for a year and travel. I remember somebody telling me, I wish I had done what you did because they got through for the program and they did not go
Oh,
because
wow.
they were
A
in a
relationship.
relationship and they're
Okay.
like, I wish I had gone because that relationship didn't
Didn't
work.
work out. It's character
Did
building.
not.
Living
Did
somewhere
not.
else, living outside of your home country is character building. That's another way to put
Exactly.
it.
It's character building, but I wouldn't have changed it, for the world. Mm-mm.
Wow.
It,
I
it wasn't necessary.
so I know we've spoken about that experience in passing because I know remember when you came from France, and it's
Hmm.
fascinating to get the details now, so many years later.
Hmm.
And I think you have the perspective of time as well to
Yes.
analyze it. So the closer it was to that, it was maybe you didn't want to talk about it as much, but now, 10 years later, you can really analyze and see the benefit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Trust me.
even and it goes to show that it was a character building experience, and the fact
Hmm.
that you were bitten by the travel bug, because a few years later you're heading
Ooh.
somewhere else to Fiji. Now
Good.
that's another story, but I think we have time for you to tell me about Fiji.
Boy, I'm gonna be really quick with that one. So, by then I come back and France taught me that if there's an opportunity, even if I'm not qualified, do it. Go
Mhm.
for it. So when I came back from France, I was applying for jobs to the principals at school.
No,
I was applying
are
for
you
CEO
serious?
position. The Roy, I'm serious. I was applying for CEO positions because I said if I can do that for a year, there's nothing I cannot do. I was applying for
Amazing.
every position that came out in the paper. Uh, Everything, right? I was applying. I eventually did get a job, thankfully. Eventually got a job and started working and then started moving around, got another. And then, so I wanted to do my master's.
Right.
I really wanted to do my master's, wanted to further my education. And I started the process in France. And I remember applying for my master's. I don't know why I thought I would have gotten through for my first application. And I remember the feeling of that. I remember that rejection letter was heavy. You ever
Oh,
see some just hits you down? And I remember crying when I got the rejection. And I said to myself, I said, I'm gonna save this rejection letter. So when I do get into somewhere,
and
I'm
you
gonna
did?
look back at how far I
Oh,
did
wow.
save it. I'm gonna look back.
Okay.
I don't know where it is now. I dumped it, but I'm gonna save it. But needless to say, 42 applications later, what I did realize is
42.
that,
Let's 42, not 4,
yeah, man, 42. No, no, no,
not
no. I'm gonna
14,
get
but
to that. I'm gonna
42.
get to that shortly because I'm trying to just, go through the story quickly. But there's so much things I can tell you about my life. I don't know. There are so many things, but I quickly I was applying and I realized that, but master's expensive, man.
Yeah.
Master's is very pricey. So I said I need a scholarship. And so I was applying for about 2 years straight, 42, and I got rejected to every single scholarship I applied for, every last one, everyone, 42,
Two
everyone.
years and
Yes,
42 applications.
mm-hmm.
Then
42
I think
applications.
people tend to give up at 2 or 3 or 4 or
No,
5.
no, 42,
42. Oh my
42,
God.
42, 40, 42. I paid application fees till I blue.
Mhm.
Because when you're applying,
You have to pay the
especially in
application
Australia, you
fee.
have to pay application fees, particularly in Australia. And so I applied to so many universities all over the world, particularly in Europe and Australia. And I didn't think of the Pacific. The Pacific, why would I even think of that?
Mhm,
What
mhm,
happened was I realized that I may not be getting into these universities and scholarship because I said something must be wrong with my application,
mhm.
you know. So I remember start talking to my father, and he said, I know a brilliant young guy at UA. He can probably help you. That with him, we were working with. my application, and he says, you know, there's a scholarship that you should apply for.
Mm-hmm.
This was so telling you the time on the day is important. This was, say, for example, a Tuesday. He says, while reading my application for, because people don't understand, the application process for scholarship is a 4 week process.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Writing,
time and effort.
correcting,
Yeah,
drafting, getting your lecturers to just come
documents.
and send the reference, the documentation process. So in
Mm-hmm.
addition to filling out, you know, your bio data and all of that, you have to then know, write these extensive essays as to why you must be selected.
Right, right.
And the Tuesday he told me, you know, there is something called CARPIN, which is the Caribbean Pacific Mobility Scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
You should apply. When is the deadline? Friday is the deadline.
And
I said,
today's
that's not
Tuesday.
possible. I said, that's not possible. It's not possible. Right? It's impossible. Yes? In French, we would say, c'est pas possible. No, no, it's not possible. Mais non, c'est pas possible. It's not possible. Right? Wednesday, I said, remember that I have another scholarship application due the Monday that I should be focusing on. And I said, I'll more than likely get in for that because that was, you know, in the final stage of preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is who I am, you know, this is what France birthed in me. The fact that I can do the impossible.
Yes.
Yes? Tuesday, Wednesday, I get up and say, no, don't do it. Thursday, there are, I don't know what came over me. But I sat in my parents, we had a little room, that we call the study at home, and I sat in there, it was a small room. And I said, you know, I'm going to apply for this scholarship. Yes. I laugh about it with my manager today because I actually called in sick to work the next day. Say I'm sick, but I was doing the application. The application was due 12 a.m. Friday, midnight on Friday.
Right.
No, 12 a.m. Saturday. So right, it was due the following day, right? So I had all of Friday. There, I sat up at that computer from 6 p.m. when I came from work until probably I wouldn't want to say 9 p.m. on Friday. And I
Mhm.
sat in that position. I probably used the bathroom twice. I did not eat. I did not sleep. I and I applied for that scholarship. Remember, the scholarship takes 4 weeks, you know.
Yes, it's a 4 week
What,
process.
and then the thing of what made this scholarship work was that you couldn't copy and paste anything from a Word document. You had to type
The type in the physical
right in the physical application
application.
online.
Okay.
And I typed Roy and I submitted. And I said, I laughed because I'm like, I'm not gonna get this. I'm not gonna get this. It's not possible. Good. There. A few months later, I am minding my business at work. I come home and I remember because I'm a Christian. So I remember just being burdened with the need to just get to do my master's. And I'm like, why is this not happening for me?
Mhm.
You know, why is this not working? Because the scholarship that I was applying for that was due the following week. I did it, did not get through for that
Mhm.
one. And I was
Right.
like, why is this not
The one you
happening
thought
for me?
that
Why is this not
would have been the
happening?
one.
That I would have done. I was like, why is this not happening for me? Why? And I remember being so emotional because I'm like, I really want to do this. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm ambitious. It's something I want to do for myself. And I remember checking my email and seeing the word congratulations.
Those emails are
Right?
the congratulation line.
Those emails, like no, like you have been selected for whatever. And let me tell you, Deroy, and this is the power of the mind. Why I wanted more so to do my master's because I had come across the teachings of Rhonda Byrne. I think that's how her name is pronounced, The Secret. You know, my philosophy has have changed and evolved about the secret since then. But what it birthed in me was that I literally my thoughts were important,
Mhm.
that what I thought was critical to my well-being and my success. I had never known that before.
Okay.
Yes, I had never known that my thoughts could influence the outcome of my life. And can I tell you, Deroy, I kid you not, to a T. There is a part in The Secret where they said you're supposed to visualize your hand on the new steering wheel. Visualization is important.
Okay.
I visualized what I would have done from the process of receiving the email to the process of going. I did that for all of the scholarships. And what I had visualized with this scholarship was
Mhm.
exactly how it played out in seeing the email, right? It was in my room and it was after all the examiners, and that's how I had envisioned it. I had put it on a vision board in 2013. It was a vision board we put with just piece of cartridge paper, and I don't know what you call it in North America, cartridge paper, I don't know, and just some pictures printed from the internet. And there are, I remember reading it and thinking, oh my God, this stuff works. This
Mm.
stuff really works. The power of my thoughts is critical. It really, really works. But my Fiji experience pretty quickly, that was a beautiful, it was probably two of the best years then of my life. I think, greater days are even greater days are ahead of me, but it was a beautiful experience. It's very tropical, very like Jamaica, but the Fijian people are wonderful. I won't have much time to go into detail about that. But when I was there again, the impossible. I was valedictorian. Yes.
Yes, I
How I
remember that.
ended up
Yes, yes,
valedictorian, then
yes.
I don't know. How I ended up valedictorian. Do you want me to tell you how I ended up valedictorian again, Leroy? Had choir practice because if you're a part of the choir for graduation, you have choir practice, right? I came in one night and I saw, I'm just deciding to check my school emails. Leroy, this is after 9. Check my school email. Hi, you've been selected by a faculty to come in for auditions. That date. That date was tomorrow. They had sent email. I had not seen it,
Oh.
but I need to come and audition and have a written speech by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. The
And you saw the night
secretary in my
before.
faculty, the secretary in my faculty forgot to tell me that I was selected from my faculty to go because they had about 4 faculties. I was a student they selected to go. You understand? There I said it's impossible. I am not doing this.
Again,
I am not
again.
doing it again.
Yeah.
Again, I am not doing this. It's not possible. It's not possible. I went
Taking
about my
risks.
business, then I
Yeah.
came back with a pen and paper, and I'm like,
Right.
all right, let's do this. And I wrote everything, and I just wrote from my head. I wrote that. It was not enough time to type. How was I gonna print? Right? Wrote from my head there, right? When deliver the speech, the people there knew about this 2 weeks in advance and prepared, I did not. I went there with several papers with scribbled in my hand. Scribbled is the truth. Months before, I had said to myself, I said, for graduation, it would be nice if you had a Caribbean representative and a lot of things that I imagined in the show up. The shower is where you accept Oscars, you accept awards. The shower is where you attend funerals, weddings, births happening in the shower,
Okay.
everything in your mind's eye. And it was something that I had thought about being valedictorian. It's something that I had spoken and it happened. Yes? Right?
Yeah.
But I was not prepared for it to happen. I went and I gave the speech 10 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, I got a call that you've been selected valedictorian.
Right.
Leroy, this is Thursday. If I had my Guyanese friend there, I could tell you this is Thursday. I had to change my dress that I had selected. I had to change because the dress I had selected, it was just a normal dress because people in the Pacific aren't fussy.
Okay.
So you just get a degree, walk across the stage. There was the if you go on YouTube, the speeches there, the decor, the garb that I had to wear, I had to run up and down and find that. I had to completely change my outfit so it was suitable to stand on stage. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because I just pick up a normal dress because you're gonna walk across the stage for 2 seconds and collect a degree and go about your
Exactly.
business. And
Yes.
the reason why I joined the choir is because if you're on the choir, they clap for you. So I wanted
Are you
applause. So
serious?
I joined the choir because that was something we want people to clap. Because you don't want to be at the graduation and nobody's clapping for you. Because you don't have your family there. None of my family could come. So the Caribbean people know that. The Roy, and let me tell you, when I was there, how my life aligned there is the Fiji for me was confirmation of, it felt supernatural in a way because the things just aligned in the way they did. I was the first international student that they sent to collect data abroad, right? They
Okay,
sent me
abroad.
back
So,
to Jamaica to collect data
oh,
because my research focused on regionalism. And with CARICOM, they're the only other regional organization for small island states. They're the only other collective, for small island states. And so the University of the South Pacific is their version of UA. Yes? And so
yes.
the research I was doing, they had a vested interest in it. And so they sent me to collect data.
So you got a
They
chance
have
to come
never done
home.
that. I got a chance to go home.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
I got a chance to go home. I wrote down, and I save these things. I have my post-its and stuff. Don't have them with me. But I remember saying, I want an all expense paid trip home. That was what I did at first. It was never in my mind. No, no, no. Honestly, I had
Yes.
done that when I just got there. It wasn't something that I had thought about because I didn't think it would have been all expense paid. I said, Jesus, please, I'm gonna have to find a way to get home. Right? I paid not a dime. But coming back home now, you know, I surprised my family. They hadn't seen me for 19 months. And I literally just walked into the house. Walked into the house. My friends picked me up from the airport and I just walked
Okay.
into the house. And they
Well,
were shocked
I,
because Fiji's on the next side of the world. So I'm always a day ahead. My friends joke and say I can see into the future. So when New Year's Day come, they're like, did the world end where you are? I'm like, no, it did not. They're like, okay, we're good. All right, we're good. You
wow,
know,
wow, wow, wow.
came back to Jamaica, had a beautiful time, was able to be here for my mother's birthday, collected the data that I needed, had really great interviews. You know, Dr. Lloyd Waller, gave me access to, he was, I think, the head of government at the time,
Mhm.
worked out for me to get access to the library so I could have a space to work and to get access to the materials because I was not a student, but he made the case that, there's a regional study and all of that, so they
Yes,
granted me
yes,
access
yes.
and it was a wonderful time in Jamaica.
So many stories. Wow. Okay, so
So
that
many stories, yeah.
that PG experience was an experience and a half, an experience of a lifetime.
Why I got an internship there too. So many beauty because of the valedictorian speech. I had applied for an internship, but because of the valedictory speech, I think that they used that to see that, oh, this girl, I guess it gave me the in,
Yes,
to be like,
you
they'll be
left
like,
an
yes.
impression.
So they'll be like, yeah, man, call her for an interview. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. So tell me about your the performing arts and how does that impacted your life because you
Oh
sang
gosh.
with the proud you were singers, you've
Yeah.
acted in a commercial play, you've been on TV in Jamaica. So tell me a little about
Mm-hmm.
more about that, and then we'll go to the last question, which is about what
Yes.
you're doing now, where do you live and what you're doing now. So tell me quickly about that.
I'm a
How that-
creative. I've been a creative all my life. Since I've been young, my parents I just used to sing and make up songs. Before I could speak sensibly, I was
Okay.
humming and singing songs. So I always a performer. The performing arts, but I didn't take it seriously until I got to the University of the West Indies. And singing there, I think, gave me a confidence that I never thought that I would have had. And it really has expanded my territory or my ideas of what being a whole person is. I was always involved in things at the high school level, but the performing arts really and truly is an art.
Mhm.
And I really think it deserves a lot more recognition and credit. And people in the arts need to be paid for their work. You don't go to the landlord and say, I'm going to pay you with exposure. I'm gonna pay you with exposure.
I've
I
heard
invite
that.
people to your place.
Yes,
The arts, people need to be paid in the arts because it's a lot of work.
yes.
It's a lot of work. I think it taught me discipline. And what the art has given me, really and truly, is the friendships. Honestly. For me, the art has given me friends that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. Yes, other than the fact that persons recognize and say, oh, you used to sing with so and so, you used to do so and so, or oh, I saw you in that play. I mean, for me, it has helped me in the job that I'm in now. I am a
Mm-hmm.
corporate communications professional, and so I have to think quickly on my feet. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the
Mm-hmm.
performing arts, sometimes things don't go as planned,
Yeah.
a lot of the times, and you have to do something impromptu. And the performing arts has has given me the length and breadth to kind of explore that. It has helped me with my diction, you know, how I speak, how I interact with persons, and it has taught me how to interact with different people from different walks of life, because you have to know how to do it, because trust me, in everywhere is the good and the bad. The stages where I feel most alive, acting, the stages where I feel most at home. And I feel it's just a part of me. Being a creative is something that's a part of me, and acting is how I express myself. It's where I feel whole, it's where I feel, as I said, most at home.
Last
Mm-hmm.
question. So, what do you do
Sure.
now?
Mm-hmm.
And wow. So, where do you live and what do you do now? You've talked
Mm-hmm.
about challenges. So I won't ask you the challenges. You talked about lessons, but you weave that into your stories. So
Yes.
I think I can just end with where do you live
Yes.
now? What do you do?
All right. So, I live in Kingston. I live in
Kingston,
Kingston. I
Jamaica.
am the current corporate and public affairs coordinator for, as you said at the beginning, the National Housing Agency here in Jamaica, the National Housing Trust. I manage our stakeholder relationships, and as well as our communications portfolio. Um, you know, Working at the NHT, I think that is also coincidental as well. Pretty coincidental, as I was discussing with you. But that is what I do now, and I love my job. Absolutely love it. I think that this job has really grown me and has matured me and has caused me to operate a bit. It demanded so much more of me that I
Mhm.
didn't know that I had, and I'm able to rise to the occasion, you know. And so, and what I do love in the space that I work, and kudos to my manager as well, because I think it's so important when you've chosen right, for you to not let go, for you to trust their judgment and
Mhm.
trust that they're going to do the work, and to be in a space and to have a leader and a manager that trusts your vision, trusts what you're going to do, doesn't micromanage,
Yeah.
because they're
Mhm.
confident that you're going to do it, and
Do
it's
the
not
job
their
and do
way
it
or
well.
the highway. it
Yeah.
is it is okay, tell me what you want to do. Why do you want to do this program? Why do you want to do this initiative? Okay. And I said, it's somebody, you said, you know what I was doing, what I was thinking, let's do this, that. And literally you're transforming how a company communicates to its audience. For the first time ever, we hosted something called a house party, right?
Oh.
For
Mhm.
young adults, where we had young adults, where we focused on bridging the gap between home ownership and the conversation of home ownership with young adults, because there's so many things that they were not aware of, that
Mhm.
through the house party that they were able to, that they gained that knowledge. We had
Mhm.
a DJ in house, we had a set, it was really, really good. So if you're seeing this and you're a member of the diaspora and you're interested in investing in home,
Yeah.
you're interested in home ownership in Jamaica, visit the NHT's website, www.nht.gov.jm, and you will see all that you need to know about contributing to the NHT for Jamaican living overseas, because really and truly, the financing really does make a difference. You can contribute to the NHG, access that financing, access that benefit, and create a home for yourself or your loved ones. Home is an investment, home is legacy, home is comfort, home is peace of mind. Home is where you come to retire, home is where you escape to. And
Mhm.
with a lot of things happening in the world, for many people, Jamaica is home. you know.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on that aspect when you're in your 60s, focus on it now. Start small, do what you can do, and go from there. So that's what I do, and that's where I live. I live in Kingston. Unfortunately, I was one of the millennials who was able to invest in a home, and it's one of the best, most frightening, most rewarding, most oh my, most oh this is breathtakingly beautiful experiences I've
Uh,
ever had. It's a rewarding experience. It's much like, parenting, I guess.
yeah.
It has its moments where it's like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? But nobody can deny, nobody globally, nobody anywhere can deny the importance of home ownership and the benefit of owning a
I
home,
love that
even as
plug.
challenging as
I love that plug, especially to the people in the diaspora. I think I need to check
yes,
out NHT
yes,
website as well. Amazing.
mm-hmm, yes,
You're doing your job. You're working, even though you're not working.
yes, 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 always, always.
Yeah. Wow. So I think that's it, Daniel. It was so
Boy.
good. Uh, so many stories. Thanks for
Too
chatting.
much.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end it
Mm-hmm.
here. Keep
Yes.
well, stay safe,
Thank
and
you.
continue making an impact, Daniel. This
Yes.
has been Millennial Reasonings special edition. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.